Rashmi Tyagi and I'm the face behind Finding Mili. I'm so excited that you're all joining me here on this next session of Art Etc. Today we're going to be talking about my journey as an illustrator and visual artist, and also discussing how the landscape of digital art in India has shifted over the years. And I'm excited for you guys to be here. I get asked this question way too often. And I think it's because there's a certain mystery around creatives that a lot of people try to, I don't know, tap into, and they think that, oh my god, we're doing something unusual or creatively crazy, but it's nothing like that. I think it's just about certain personalities being a certain way, and there are a lot of stereotypes around creators which I would love to break, but yeah, my journey specifically has been quite unconventional, but it has been very fun. Contrary to popular artists' trajectories, I did not grow up drawing all the time. I studied architecture at university, and that's where I fell in love with art and design, and specifically this world of illustration just opened up for me. After university, I decided to take a gap year, much to the shock of my parents. And I moved to Manali, Himachal Pradesh, to run an Airbnb cottage with a bunch of mountaineers, entrepreneurs, and I feel like that was the first time where I was stepping out of my comfort zone to do something that I had no idea how to do, and that initial building of my spine kind of taught me a lot. I got my first illustration gig while I was still in Manali. There was a dear friend there who wanted to do some illustrations for his travel company, and I offered to help, and there's been no looking back since. Post that, I decided to move more towards graphic design because I needed to sustain myself and I needed a job, and I needed to make sure that I was independent. So that's always been a very important priority for me. So I moved to Delhi from Manali, where I found the amazing people of Inspired Traveler, and I started working with them as a graphic designer. And that was my first job that taught me how to technically use software, graphic design, layouts, do like branding, do like website things, make social media posts, you know, everything, like the whole jargon. And I remember I was such a beginner at that point that I was intimidated at every step. Every step was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how I'm going to do it. But it was a good solid year of learning and lots of fun, lots of understanding that I actually just wanted to do illustration more than I wanted to do graphic design. And I continued doing a lot of commercial graphic design later in my career as well, but I know that my heart was fixated towards illustration. And I feel like that had something to do with a set of these illustrated books that my parents had bought for me when I was about 10 years old, I think. And even though I didn't draw, even though I didn't like paint all the time, I remember spending a lot of time reading through those books and reading these stories, and they were illustrated in different styles. And I don't know if you guys have ever read those Time books. So I remember an entire summer I just obsessed and spent all of my time reading those books, and I feel like now when I look back at it, I really feel like that registered in my mind or subconscious some way, and ever since then I've wanted to be an illustrator. It's not been an easy journey. I feel like a lot of people think that oh, just because you're creative, you can draw and you can make things, so things will just like, you know, come automatically for you. But that is not the case. It's so far from the truth, because it takes hours and hours and hours, and you won't believe it, but like months turn into years and you're still developing skills, you're still learning how to do your job, you're still learning how to get clients, be nice to clients, make sure that those clients stick around, you're still doing so many of those very basic things for years, which is what I did. And I also allowed myself that luxury. I feel like I didn't push myself around to be successful as an illustrator or be successful as a graphic designer. I was just like, I'm here to play, and I enjoyed that whole process a lot. I know for a fact now that I have a clearer picture of what kind of illustrations I want to do, what kind of companies I want to work with, what kind of stories do I want to tell. And I know none of those realizations would have happened had it not been for the years and years of work that has gone into building a career, which is what they say it is, right? I think this one is a very simple question with a very simple answer for me. I draw almost all my inspiration from the stuff that's going on around me. Nature is a big influencer for me, and anything that amplifies the beauty of nature is definitely inspiring to me. What I make is a reflection of how I'm feeling, what I'm focusing on, and so on. So much happens to us in a day that we retain, and it leaves such a big mark on us. And most of the illustrations that I make are things that I pick up when I'm on my walk, when I am cooking, when I am probably reading, visuals that come floating by when you're in your zone, I would say. But yeah, it's my way of documenting my life just the way it is, and also making sure that there is some way for me to remember these moments in which I've seen something that is visually very appealing, which looks wonderful. Like, there are some days when I'm on my walks and I'd look at this really cute, beautiful house and I'd be like, oh my god, it would be great to draw an illustration of that. And that's how I keep making a list of things that I need to draw. On my phone, I have a tab with multiple things, just like lists and lists and lists of things that I need to draw, because these are just visuals that I've picked up on the way. And I think I enjoy that a lot. I enjoy the everyday encounter with life and trying to register that essence of the day into an illustration or into a graphic in some form. And yeah, I think colors speak a lot to me. I used to tell people that colors come to me before forms do, and I'm definitely very interested in using bold colors in my illustrations and in my work. And I feel like that happens because I'm almost always noticing color before I'm noticing how it has been stored. And it's an interesting exercise. You should, I totally would recommend everybody to do it, to just like go around your day seeing things in color rather than seeing things in form, and trying to make a mental note of what are the different shades of color you saw. And that really helps me pick things up. Another thing that really inspires me is great storytelling. So I'm very sensitive. So if there's something emotional and if there's something sweet that touches a chord, I am definitely drawn towards it, and I definitely immediately start weaving it into a narrative, and there's always some kind of a story playing in my head for sure. Yeah, I think human nature in itself is also very inspiring to me. I find that we're almost put in these conditioned places ever since we're young, and all of them have a psychological impact on us. That is why while I was studying architecture, it was so important for me to also understand what happens when you're in a certain kind of a room, in a certain kind of are constantly shown a certain kind of color. How does that impact your psyche, right? And I feel like now through my illustrations, I always want to see how people respond to certain colors, or how people respond to certain kind of storytelling. And it's really interesting to be inspired by that stuff. So yeah. This is a very interesting question to me. Technology has made life extremely simple and extremely complex at the same time. We're all just living on virtual clouds and um, constantly also wondering where we're at really. I mean, what is real life, what is virtual life? I mean, I'm constantly questioning myself. I'm constantly wondering how much of my life or how much of my days are actually spent on a virtual medium. And yeah, it's very interesting to see how over the last 2 years, especially through the pandemic, how we have really relied on technology to talk to people, to be closer to our families, to grieve together, to even understand that technology is probably the only tool right now that is helping us feel close and at the same time feel super isolated. So I don't know if there is a way we can achieve some balance there, but yeah, it is a very interesting dilemma. Also feel that there's a renaissance that we're in the middle of, and there's a lot of people who are trying to preserve um, our past in a way that we can feel grateful for it in the future. And I feel the necessity of it a lot, especially the whole cultural debate right now is making me personally, as an illustrator, making me question how much of my influences are rooted in my culture versus how much of them are just things I've picked up from people I've seen, and how much of it is authentic versus how much of it is just being influenced by a certain aspect of certain something, and that's just about it, right? Let me think. I think it's both. And it's both in its own extreme way. So when it's liberating, it's super liberating. When it's limiting, it's super limiting. And I have examples for both. I've been working as an illustrator for about 4 years now, and especially as an independent illustrator for 4 years now. And before I switched to working on an iPad full time, it would be a task to carry my work anywhere I needed to go. So I feel like technological advancements have definitely made my work a lot more portable, a lot more easy to share, a lot more convenient to just work with. And I'm a huge fan of the iPad because I used to really hate those 17 steps, that you needed to go through every time you need to share like a little drawing that you made. The iPad makes things so convenient. This is not a sponsored ad, but yes, it makes things so convenient. And I have seen people just within the pandemic, I have friends who did not know how to draw, did not want to even think about themselves as creatives. Well, everybody's a creative, but like these people have started businesses that are flourishing today because they decided that, hey, we'll just give it a shot and let's start drawing on the iPad. And it's great the amount of skill that they've acquired to be able to start a business and run it. So the technology that we're using today definitely liberates a lot of people, allows a lot of people, is more inclusive, challenges a lot more people to do things that they never thought they could do. And for me, that's that's a great thing that allows so many people to change their mind about themselves, I feel. And yeah, I just love sharing my work because it's so easy now. Limiting because I feel like it creates a codependency, and it already has. I don't remember how to draw on paper sometimes, which is, I shouldn't be saying this, but I sometimes forget that it is not as easy to erase on paper as it is on Procreate. For example, a couple of weeks ago, I was trying to paint on a canvas and I was making mistakes as I was painting, of course. And I kept double tapping the canvas because I thought it would just undo my mistake, right? Which is what happens on Procreate. You just double tap and your mistakes just beautifully vanish. It's so nice. It's super convenient. And I feel like we are dependent today as people on that kind of convenience. And that's a threat. because it kills our curiosity in a very different kind of way. And I don't know how to express this fully, but I'm just going to say two things. Anything that you get codependent on kills your curiosity, and creative curiosity getting murdered like that is not good. So I feel like there are artists today who still manage the whole drawing on in their sketchbooks, and then eventually like drawing on their iPads or whatever. And I feel like that kind of cycle keeps it alive, keeps that curiosity alive, he keeps the inner child happy. But being too dependent on technology kind of takes that away from the essence of making. And there's a reason why we use our hands to make. It's because energy just flows through our hands into whatever medium we apply it to. And I'm not saying that digitally you can't like channel that energy or anything like that, but it just helps to have a physical, tangible way of drawing or sculpting or making things happen. Like the other day, one of my friends was over and he showed us how like he had a keyboard on his computer, and I was so impressed. I was like, what, you can draw, like you can play the piano on your keyboard. And it was just another example of how liberating and how easy and convenient technology has made art or the creating of things, and at the same time how it has absolutely stolen from that first-hand essence, and at the same time I also feel this is interesting. It's like life has got to move forward, so technology will continue to move forward. Like we're using things that are completely different from what they were like even 5-6 years ago. So I feel like that's all right, because it has to liberate and limit at the same time in order for any kind of advancement to happen. Absolutely not. I think tools and talent are two very different things. I could be someone who's extremely talented and never have the skill set or tools to chisel my way through that talent. Through the last few years of working extremely hard, I've realized that I'm not a very talented person, but I know that I have a deep passion for the potential that I have. So I keep at it, I keep working hard, and I keep trying to figure my way around this creative life that I've been called to. And I feel like in that same way, I know a lot of talented people, but I know a lot of talented people who don't have a skill set, and they will probably use their talent in a different way, in a different kind of a situation, or probably I don't know, use that talent to solve a different kind of equation. But for me, what's worked is finding what makes my expression unique, and then working obnoxiously hard on my skill set. And I continue to do that every day, no matter what happens, because I feel like no matter how much talent you have, your skill set will always triumph that talent. So I think tools are kind of a matter of choice. Every single creative picks their own set of tools, and their tools are unique to their own journey. If you see, every creative also has a very unique way of working. Even if you're working with the same digital tools, they'll save their files differently, they'll have their layers differently placed, they'll have their colors sorted differently. Everyone creates differently, and that is what the essence of creative community is, right? That you can never compare yourself to another creative, because they just have a very different outlook to every small tiny step that builds up to this beautiful creative thing. And I genuinely believe that we should think of tools as things that amplify our talent, and not as things that equate to our talent in any way. You could use a million tools and your talent will would still remain the same, or it would, I don't know, grow or expand or become larger than ever. But I think it depends on what kind of tools you choose and how you grow that talent inside you. Because yeah, everyone is definitely talented, but not everyone wants to or chooses to work on their skill set that way. Uh, this is true and annoying, because as much as it's amazing that mass-produced visuals exist for the larger market, it also dilutes the way clients think about the design and creative industry, and it definitely impacts the way that creatives get paid. Over the last few years, I've realized that, especially in a country like India, where there's no standardization of pay, you can, like, a graphic designer or an illustrator might be charging a very base quote for something that another graphic designer or illustrator might be charging for, right? And what happens is that because of this gap, the client will go for the easier, more convenient option, or the more like cheaper option, and it dilutes the way that you get paid as somebody who has, say, 10 years worth of skill, like, amount of work that you've put into your career, etc., etc. And I feel like it's mass-produced visuals. They're a bit like fast fashion. So it's like wanting the cheapest, the fastest, like trending clothes, but not really stopping to ask, will this last? Will this impact the life around me in a way that is sustainable? Is this helping the environment? Is this good for my skin? Something as basic as that. And the same way that you would probably ask questions around the branding that you're doing for your company, for example, or the illustrations that you want to get made for your brand, right? Shouldn't they be unique to you? Shouldn't they be the ones that are like associated directly to you? Shouldn't they be meant for you? That's what slow fashion does, right? Like, slow fashion is ethical, it pays responsibly, it is sustainable, it helps the environment grow and thrive and heal from all that it's lost. And I think of both of these things as, okay, that you have to have mass-produced visuals because a lot of people cannot afford the services of a graphic designer or a creative person, but at the same time there are people who can and yet choose to go with the mass-produced visuals. And I think, again, it's a choice, but I feel like it really doesn't help support the creative community around you. And if you truly want to help the creative community in India grow, you should support small businesses, you should support small studios, you should support individuals with absolutely no backing, no investment, no way of mass producing these things for you, but they have an authentic voice that will make your brand thrive. And yeah, I feel like that's really important today. And it will really change the way the creative industry is thriving in India, for sure. And at the same time, if we were to talk just about how an illustrator remains relevant in an age where everything is so conveniently available, from like logos to like graphics to imagery, everything is available. So you don't necessarily need to pay me in order to make illustrations for your brand, right? You could just go hop on to like Freepik or one of these free mediums, pick out like illustrations, and that would be that, right? The only way that I have discovered that you can remain unique and relevant is to be authentic in the work that you're producing, and find brands or find people who also have the same value system as you. And you don't necessarily need to strive to be unique or relevant in any other way, but that if you remain authentic to the voice that you have and continue to express yourself in a way that is personal to you, that is true to you, I feel like that relevance just automatically surfaces. And I have had a long journey of just trying to understand, hey, I've made this little piece for the world, and where am I in it? Can I see myself in this piece of work? And if I can, and as long as I can, I feel like I've covered the relevance base and I have impressed myself. As long as you're impressing yourself, blowing your own mind, I feel like you're relevant in some way. So yeah, I think I'll leave this conversation with just one last thing. Being true to who you are as an illustrator, as a creative, as a graphic designer, any branch of creativity is more important than what's trending on social media, what's the new thing that you need to jump on. Keep making a niche for yourself. Keep building that little corner in the universe for yourself, and yeah, grow your own garden, keep growing your own garden. And that's what I tell myself every morning. Mili, grow your own garden. Get into that little corner and just keep planting your own stuff, Don't look here, don't look there, don't go anywhere. Just put your blinders on and keep growing your own garden, Nothing better than that, I tell you.